Hello friends, thank you so much for joining me. This is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. In this tutorial, we're going to make a heart pillow. Now the other day, someone had commented under one of my other videos saying, do you have a heart pillow? And I had to say no, I'm sorry, I do not. But then that made my little mind think until I could come up with one, and here it is. So if you're watching this, put it in the comments below. This pillow's for you. I am using my 46 needle Addi, but you can use your 48 needle Sentro for this project and it will work great. I'm using Caron Simply Soft yarn in the colors soft pink and red. Now this is a picture of the back of the pillow, so you can have it either way. It's very nice both ways. Now for the bows that are on the front of the pillow, I use the Clover Wonder Knitter. If you do not have a Clover Wonder Knitter, friends, click on the description box below and find the link and get yourself one. You will be glad that you did. I love this little machine. So once you have your yarn and your machine set up, we're going to get started on this Valentine heart pillow. I hope you have fun. So to start this project, I am using my 46 needle Addi. I need to use waste yarn. So waste yarn allows us to see the stitches so that we can, once our project is off the machine, we can make a straight edge. So take a color that's very it's contrasting against your working yarn, or that you can see your working yarn stitches easily against this. And we're going to bring our last white, our first black, in line with our yarn feeder, and we're going to cast on with a drawstring cast on, going in front and behind, in front and behind, all the way around. Just let that yarn slip through your fingers. Use a very loose tension because there is no weight of a project to help it fall down over these red teeth in the next round, so it needs to be loose. All right, weaving back and forth, back and forth. It should be behind that last white. Into the yarn feeder it goes. Let's knit very slowly for this first round, making sure that everything works properly and those loops go down over the red teeth. There we go. I like to always pull that down too. I, as a practice, knit 7 rows of waste yarn. It just gives me a nice length that I can fold over when I'm sewing up the ends. But you can do whatever you're most comfortable with. I'm going to do 7. This is 4. And one more will be 7 before I get to the end of row 7. So I see that black divider coming around. I take a black permanent marker. I have to redo it. I am going to set my row counter to 0 so it's ready to go when I start my row. I'm going to cut this off, pop it into the center between the last white and the first black, and I'm going to grab my first color, which is red. I'm going to pop that into my yarn feeder, also into the center between the last white and the first black. I think I said first white before. Your purple tail goes between the last white, the first black, same where your red goes. Okay, hold both tails. I'm going to knit 4 or 5 needles. I'm going to help those loops down under the divider. Take both ends of my working yarn and pull them away from each other. Watch what happens here. You snug up your tension so that when you have it off your machine, your first few stitches are not looser than the rest. So I do that every time I change color. Now I'm going to just go a little bit slower for this first row to make sure that my new yarn is connecting properly. It's the same brand, so I'm sure it will. And we are going to knit 6 rows of red. So go ahead and knit 6 rows of red. I see my black divider coming around. There we go. I'm at the end of row 6. I'm going to cut off my red. Don't put it too far because you're going to be grabbing it soon. Pop that into the center between the last white and the first black. And I'm going to take my pink and I'm going to pop it into the same space. But we want to do a jogless join. When we're knitting in the round, it's like a spiral and every round goes one higher than the next. So by doing this next join that we're going to do, we're going to pull that back down so that our 2 colors match and there's not a jog in them. To do that, we're going to take the pink, we're going to take it to the other side of that white needle. So now they're crisscrossed under that last white needle. We're going to knit 4 or 5. We're going to do the same thing. Pop those down, tighten our join, After we're done knitting the pink, we will, I'm going to just cut this a little bit shorter. We will tie that off and make it tighter. We're going to knit 3 rows. I'm holding my yarn between my fingers like this so that I can take, I can control the tension, which is very minimal there, but I can also feel if there's tightness coming out of the ball or knots, etc. So that's how I always do it. I'm going to knit 3 rows of pink. And 3. Watching for my black divider to come around. I'm going to cut that pink. I'm going to pop it into the center between the last white and the first black. Why am I wasting yarn? I'm cutting it so long. And I'm going to add my red back in. So we have 9 rows done on our counter. We're going to do our jogless join. Hold both of those tails. Knit 4 or 5. Help them down under the dividers. Pull away. We're going to knit 6 rows, but after 2 rows, I'm going to fix my jogless join on that first change. So 1, 2, because when it's a little bit further down, it's easier to do. 1, okay, this is 2, and I'm going to go past. Then I'm going to pick up these last 2. I'm not going to do those ones yet. I'm going to take these 2, and I'm going to gently pull them away from each other until it stops. You'll feel it stop. Just like that. Then you're going to take this, and you're going to tie it. Don't tighten this one really tight because you'll gather in there. Tie the second one tight. Then you can cut this off. So 6 rows of this red will take us to row 15. You heard that screeching coming out of my handle because my yarn was tight. I don't like to do that. 14. And before I get to the next row, I'm going to, this is for far enough down now. When it's farther down, it's easier to do. 4 or 5 rows down. I'm going to pull that away from each other, tie it, and cut it off. And this is my 6th row. I'm going to stop at the black divider. All right, so we have 6 rows of red, 3 rows of pink, 6 rows of red. That takes us to row 15. We're going to keep alternating like that until we get to row 33. So I'm going to cut off my red. I'll do one more jogless join with you. I'm going to add my pink. Back in the day when I was going to school, you never wore pink and red together. You never put it together in any way, shape, or form. Now it's all the rage. My daughter had an engagement party, and all the decorations, the cake and everything were pink and red, and it was so beautiful. Who knew? All right, so we're going to do our jogless join. We're going to knit 3 rows, rows 16, 17, and 18. Stopping with the black divider in front, I am going to cut that off. Add my red. Oops. And do 6 rows after I do my tension. So till row 24, and after I do 2 rows of red, I'm going to stop and tie that the jogless join that's the furthest down. I can go past. All right, so friends, you're going to keep going. You're almost done, actually. You're going to keep going until you get row 33 to row 33. I'll meet you just back as soon as I get close to that, okay? All right, see you in a little bit. All right, so I'm on my 6th row of my red. That's taking me to row 33. I'm going to watch for that black divider. There we go. So I have 33 rows done. Red, pink, red, pink, red, pink, red. Lovely. We're going to cut that off. I already tied my jogless join on my last one. Pop that into the center, and you're going to grab your waste yarn. Pop that in there. We do not have to do a jogless join on waste yarn because it's coming out. And we don't have to fix the tension on waste yarn because it's coming out. And so we are going to do 7 rows is what I do. But I'm going to do the drawstring cast off instead of just leaving it loose. Can't think. 1 second. I'm concentrating on my counter. So 1 more. I did 7. Now, if I was to cut this off and put it into the center and then rotate my barrel twice, the whole project would come off the machine, and all these little loops on the top row of the purple would be loose and they would start dropping, especially with this silky yarn. They drop so fast. So I do, when I use yarn like this, or if I'm gonna set this aside because I'm, you know, making more than one, then I do the drawstring cast off. Cut off a piece of yarn that goes around your barrel 1.5 to 2 times. Grab yourself a needle. Come on, little guy. We're going to do the drawstring cast off. Now again, this yarn is very silky, and so it slips off these needles really easily. So if you're new, be careful. You're going to, as soon as that needle drops down, this loop is ready to come off. So pull out to the side like that. If you're new, just let do one at a time. So that needle is still holding that one. All right, so I'm doing one at a time. That needle is holding that other one in place. It's not gonna fall off. If you wanna take more, all of these are ready to just pop off. So if I take this one off and I lift really high, this one's gonna fall off. So if I wanna release several like that, put your finger over the next one, and then over the next one, and then over the next one, and then pick it up that way until you get your tension right. If you are seasoned and you know the tension, and even still with this yarn, sometimes it can fall off very easily. Take really short pickups like this and hold them on your needle. And then you're not gonna risk that loop falling off. You're gonna go around and you're gonna release every stitch. So I've given you some tips. You should have no problem if you follow any of them, and you will do great. You can get quite a few on your needle if you're holding them with your thumb. And there we go. First piece is off the machine. Go ahead and make 1 more exactly like that, and then see me back. All right, we have 2 of these done. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna set those aside. We're going to grab our waste yarn. I had to choose a different color because I ran out of the purple. Doesn't matter. We're going to cast on with waste yarn just like we did with our first 2 pieces. I'm going to knit 7 rows. We're going to cut that tail off. We're going to set our row counter to 0. This time, we're going to start with pink. Pop that into our yarn feeder, and we know that pink is only 3 rows. Got to set my tension at the beginning. I'm going to knit 3 rows. Oops, almost went past. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to grab my red. I'm going to do a jogless join. Tighten my tension. I'm going to knit 6 rows. That's 6 rows of red. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to fix my jogless join down here. Don't forget to do that. And then we're going to keep alternating 3 rows of pink, 6 rows of red until we get to row 27. You will end on the red. Okay, so I've now done 9 rows. I'm going to add my pink. I'm going to do 3 rows of pink. Then I'm going to do 6 rows of red, and I'm going to continue that patterning until I have 27 rows ending on red. The last 6 rows are red. I'll see you when you get there. This is my last row, finishing up my 6th row of red, and that will take me to row 27 on my counter. Fix this last jogless join. You're going to now cut off a tail long enough to go around your barrel 1.5 to 2 times. We are going to do a drawstring cast off, just like what we did on our other 2 pieces. All right, so I won't do the whole thing with you. I'll just get you started here. Making sure all your jogless joins are tied. You could tie them when you get them off the machine too, turning it inside out and doing it. But go ahead, remove all your stitches. And then you're going to make 3 more. So you need 4 in total. So what we've done is we've done waste yarn. We've alternated, starting with our pink, only going to 27 rows, drawstring cast off. Make 4 of those pieces. All right, so we have all of our beautiful pieces off the machine. I'm going to take 1 of each. The other ones I've already done. And we're going to, let's start with this one. Let's start with the one where we have waste yarn on both ends. I'm going to show you how to close it up. All right, so taking the side where your waste yarn goes to the inside, we're going to, where your yarn tails go to the inside, I should say, we're going to look at our waste yarn tail, and that loop that it comes out of right there, you're going to put a stitch marker. Take that tail out. Your working yarn here is right there. You're going to pull on it, and that loop there is where you're going to put your stitch marker. Take that tail out. Because I used 46 needle machine, my 46 needle machine, I know that the very center side on here is stitch 23 and 24. So I'm going to take my crochet hook. I'm just using a 4.5 because that's, it's a nice size for this kind of project. We're going to count our loops, starting with the top bobby pin there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 are these 2. I'm going to go under stitch 24, and I'm going to count that as number 1 now. Then I'm going to go up to this one, and I'm going to work it through that loop. That's 2. Go down to the bottom, pull it through the loop, 3, up to the top, 4, down to the bottom, take the next loop, and now you see why waste yarn in a different color is so important. And then up to the top, and we're going to do that back and forth just like this, counting every loop that you pick up. Now because I'm talking to you, I lost count, but I've done this a bazillion times, so I truly don't need to count them because I know what to look for. But if you're new and you haven't done this a lot, you want to count every loop that you pick up, because if you get to the end and you have missed a loop, once you take that waste yarn off, you will drop that row. Then you have to fix it, and that's not fun. Oops, except for there, I might have missed one here. Let me just pull this apart. After all that, nope, I did not. And we're going to go all the way across. Picking up one and working one, picking up one, working it through. Make sure you don't snag the purple or your waste yarn and get it through there, because then it'll be harder to take off. And sometimes these want to sneak down into the, see that one's almost hidden, but it's between these 2 purple loops, so you know there is one. And here's the next 2 purple loops, it's right between there. And you go all the way to the end. And your bobby pin that is closest to you will always be 45, and this one will be 46. Or if you're using your Sentro, this will be 47 and this will be 48. If it's not, then you've missed something somewhere along the way, and you need to go back and undo it and figure it out. Okay, so this is 46. I'm going to work that. Then I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to pull that through and tie it off. I'm going to help you find your stitches on this side, and then I'll take off the waste yarn. Waste yarn comes off the same way on both sides. All right, so this one we have our tails that are coming out. When you look at this red one here, our working yarn, the stitch right beside it is the one you take. Now for our waste yarn, when you pull the loop of the waste yarn, the last red stitch that it's going through, that's the one that you want to choose. You're going to then count around to 23 and 24, and you're going to work it back and forth just like we did the other side. Once you get those sides done, to remove our waste yarn, we're going to find our tail here. We're going to roll it up. Very top row there, you can see it through those top loops. You're going to pinch the stitch, about 6 or 7 stitches in, pull that top row. Go around about another 6 or so rows, or stitches, and pull. Pinch the stitch and pull. If you pinch the stitch, then it doesn't all gather in there. And pinch the stitch, and I've made it all the way around. Now I can remove this. If this tail is too long, then put it on your needle and put it into there. Put it on your needle and put it through there, and just leave a loop so you can pull it back out again, and you'll get it out of the way, but it's not too long for me, so. Another way is when you get to it, grab at the same time, you grab your purple one and pull up, and then it doesn't knot around it. There we go. That's how we take off our waste yarn on both sides. You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna close both sides of your 2 pieces that are square, and then when you get to your one that has the drawstring at the one end and the waste yarn at the other end, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take a look at your yarn tail, and you're going to put a stitch marker in the one that's right to the left of it, and then over here, whichever loop that this waste yarn is going through, the very last loop that it goes through, that's the one you're going to mark. You're going to go over to 23 and 24, and you're going to work back just like we did, just like I showed you here. Then you're going to take out your waste yarn. You're going to do that for all your pieces. All right, go ahead, enjoy the process, and I'll see you when you're done. All right, so once you have all that done, we're going to now go and hide our tails on every one of our pieces. So there's lots of repetition here, but it's easy repetition. You can do it. I'm just going to go underneath that one stitch, go back underneath this next one, and the next one. Then I'm going to go back 1 and back 2, and then into that seam in between the 2 layers. Pull it out and cut it off. So that's how I'm going to hide all my tails on all my ends the best that I can. So go ahead and do that, except for at the ones that have the drawstring top. Of course, you're not going to do that, but this won't take long. Go ahead, hide your ends, and meet me back. All right, friends, now that you have that done, let's start with our 2 square pieces. We are going to put some yarn on our needle. Now I want you to take these pieces, here's our edges that we sewed, I want you to put them sideways like that so that your stripes are going up. Then you're going to take the bottom corner of this one and go up to the top corner there. Okay, so stripes are like this. Bottom left corner up to the top right corner. You're going to take the bottom right corner on this one and go up to the top left corner. Now you can see that our lines are going this way and they are going to match up. What I want to do now is I'm going to just turn this like that. We're going to pick up this first top of the stitch here, go across and pick up this one here, bring it through, tie off a tail, or tie in a knot your tail here. We will hide this one into our work later, but we're going to do the invisible join here. And to do that, I'm going to then, okay, we're going to go from here to this corner, and then we're going to work along that raw edge back there. But what we're going to do is we're going to just fold this up so that we have our rows together. But I line them up so that the wide part of the V on this side stitch is to the left and the point is up at the top on both sides. That's how I choose to do it, and I think it works better that way to get your needle in there. Now I'm going to go into the top of this one, first stitch, and I'm going to pick up that first bar of the next stitch and the next one. So that's 2 bars. I'm going to pull through. Of course, this is way too long, but I'm known for that too. And that's my tail. I'm going to go into the very top one here, and I'm going to pick up 2 bars. So I'm going into the center of the stitch and picking up 2. And I'm going to pull that. Here's where I came out. I can see my yarn tail coming out there. So I'm going to go into that same stitch, pick up 1 and 2. Here's where I'm coming out here. So I'm going to go into that stitch, pick up 2. People, you know, there's always somebody who says, I can't stay on the same row, and they put bobby pins and all kinds of things all across. And if that's what you have to do, go for it. But I'm here to tell you that if you just look where it came out last, like here it is. It's coming out of this stitch. If you go right back into that same stitch, you have to stay on the same row, okay? And so then there we go. It's coming out of this stitch right here. So if I go back into there, I'm automatically staying on the first row or on the same row. So you don't have to pull this tight yet. We'll pull it tight once we get down a little ways. So into that first pink, pick up the 2. And into that stitch, pick up the 2. I'm going to go back into where I came out, pick up 2. And that's the bottom of the pink stitch, the last pink stitch. So then I know that my rows are going to line up. I'm going to go a little bit further, bottom, and pick up 2, and pick up 2, and pick up 2, and 2. That might be a little hard to see if there's a knot in it on the other side, but you want to line up your pink row, so you want to make sure that you're, now I'm at the top, get that out of the way there, top of that pink stitch. I'm going to go into it and then pick up 2. Top of this pink stitch, I'm going to pick up 2. That way I know they're going to line up. And then let's do 2 more. I'm going to go in and I'm going to go into the first red one. Into the first red one. Now I'm going to pull a little bit, okay? I'm going to pinch up here and I'm going to pull this. I should have done it sooner because I was dealing with knots there. Be careful you don't break your end, but there we go. And we're going to continue on till we get to the corner here. When you get to the corner, I'll meet you back. There we go, almost at the end. Get into there. I've left the very tip, 1 stitch. I'm going to squeeze there and pull there. And we're going to then pick up our very corner stitch and the very corner one here. And we're going to pull through. Then we're going to carefully flip this over. Now we have our seam. This will be the back of our pillow, so we're okay. All I'm going to do is go into the stitch, into a stitch. What we could do too is just pick up, we could pick up the first stitch here on the side and hide our seam, and go over here and pick up the first stitch. I'm going to try it here, pick up the bar. I don't know that I want to lose a row of width though. And then we go into the very first stitch here. Pull through and take the next one. Take the full stitch and pull through. And then take the very next row. Yeah, this is what we should do. And the next row. I am making this with you. I designed it out on paper, and I made some scrap ones to see if my idea was going to work, and then to make the final product, I'm making it with you. I'm going to pick up a stitch, and where's the next one here? And then you see when I pull that, we don't see that join. That's the perfect way to do it. Keep doing that all the way up to the top corner. Just a little tip that might help you. So the point of the V here on the stitch is going up on the bottom one, so it has to go up on the top one for our rows to match, so that you see a seamless join. And then where you came out here is where you're going to go in, and you're going to pick up the next one. Top of the V is going up. Don't pull it too tight. You can see where you came out, and then you're going to go in here. Top of the V is going up. That way you're keeping it the same. This is making a very nice finish. It's kind of like the Kitchener stitch. I don't actually know if you would call this the Kitchener stitch in this particular, when you're joining it like this, but I think that it is actually. It seems to follow the same rules to me. Just looks a little bit different than how we normally do it. And up we go. Picking up two. The V is pointing up. And in where I came out, the V is pointing up. I'm going to continue up until I get to the top. We're getting a beautiful join there. Once you get to the top, we're just going to pick up that stitch that's on the very side there. Go over here and pick up that very end. Go back into here. And tie off a knot. I'm going to leave this tail hanging because we might use it again. Oops, get a knot in there. And there we go. Remove my needle. I might like the other side better. This one kind of did a funny thing, but take that funny thing and pull it in. It's just the knot that got out of hand there. And there we go. We have the base of our pillow done. Isn't that nice? This way the lines go up. This way they go across. I wanted them to go across. This is the front. Grab your other 4 pieces. 2 of your other 4 pieces. We've got 2 of our 4 pieces. If you have a tuck stitch or something on one of the sides, put it together on the inside. So I'm going to put those on top of each other like that. I'm going to just take the first one here. And we're going to just pull this tight. You don't need to have it on top when you do that, but pull it tight. Then I'm going to tie this off. I'm not going to reinforce it yet because we're going to do something with it. Normally I go around once and reinforce, but it's not necessary right now. I'm just going to tie it off just so that it's in its shape like that. And do the same thing to this one. Smooth out your top as you do it. This feels like it's shredding a little bit, so I'm going to use the other one to sew with. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just secure this. 1 and 2. All right. Taking these, putting one on top of the other. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to, because I want to start down there, so I'm actually going to tuck this in here into the top, bring it out the side. I'm just gonna hide my end and cut this off. I wasn't going to, but I decided it's the better thing to do. Cut that off, do that for both of them. And hopefully you have a long tail like this, because you can use it for sewing. Going into that center, out, cutting it off, setting that aside. All right, so if your yarn tail is long enough to go all the way around here, then you use it, otherwise get a new one. And we're going to pop that on our needle. I'm going to go to the corner here. I'm going to just pick up the corner stitches, pull through, tie it off in a firm knot. That's going to be tucked in there. We're going to do the Kitchener stitch up, or the invisible join up the sides here. So I'm going to go into that. I got my tie on the first pink one, so I'm into the second pink one, pick up 2 bars. And again, the wide part of the V is to the left. Go into the exact same stitch on this side that you did on the other side. Pick up 2 bars. And 2. And 2. Generally what I do at a color change is I go until here's the first pink one. I'm only going to pick up 1 now. This is what I do on my blankets, and I should have done it on that other piece, but that's okay. And I'm going to pick up 1, then I'm going to pull it to straighten it, and then what I generally do is I will put a knot in here. Just 1 single knot right where the color change goes, and then I'll continue on. I haven't done that on all of my tutorials, but it's something that I figured out not that long ago, actually, that it's the better way to do it. And then my colors line up. You can do it here, go into the last pink one. I'm only going to take 1. Give that a pull. And then I can go into the center of that one, and just pick up the 1/2 of those stitches, of that stitch, knot it off. You don't have to knot it off. You can just make sure that you just end in that space and then continue on. I've done that more often than tying a knot, but then you keep going. But if there's only 1 bar left, I don't take 1 pink and 1 red. I just take the 1. And we keep going here. All right. This time there's 2. And 2. So now I'm going to pull it. And see how straight that is? It's much straighter than that other side that I did. Then I'm going to just take the 1 bar and the 1 bar, tie just 1 knot. Oops, you don't want to gather it. And then go back in there and do the same all the way down. Until you get to the top of the gather there. So I'm going to pick up 1 pink, 1 pink, pull it. If you don't want to tie a knot, then you just take that last stitch and you pull it. Then you go, instead of taking 2 and getting a red in there, you just end on your pink and then you go. So that's 2 different ways of doing it. You have a much straighter join if you tie 1 little knot, but as long as you end at the end of the color, then that works too. Coming up to the tippy top. And then here, I'm going to pull. Make sure that's not gathering. Look how beautiful that is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, you see that here's the top circle of this one, and here's the top circle there. I'm going to go on this half closest to me and the half farthest from me. So I'm going to just go under here. I'm going to pick up the top layer of stitches there, just the top row all the way around. Just halfway around. And then what you can do is you can line this up to make sure you're at the halfway part. There we go, I am. And then I'm going to go on the top row stitches on the very far edge of this one. Pull that through. And come through. And then now go around one more time, just reinforce it. And off camera, I already did this half. So this is my second time around, just to get around there to this side. And a little bit more. And give that a pull. And now we're going to invisible stitch down this side, okay? So we want the wide part of the V going to the left. I'll choose this row and that row there. I'm going to follow it up the best that I can to see which row it is. Takes a little effort to get it to this point, to get this part started here because it's hidden in there. But there it is. I'm going to go in. I'm going to pick up 2. Or what I think is 2. And then here's my row. Going to pick up what I think is 2 right there. And I'm going to work my way all the way down this side until I get to the very base, just like what we did before. Here I was coming out of there, so I'm going to go back in, pick up 2, and then here's my color change. So I want to make sure that that's joint. There we go. It actually worked out perfect. I'm going to continue all the way down till I get to the corner here, following the same technique that we did on the other side. Then when you get down to the end, you just pick up that last stitch, and I did it once already, and you knot it off. The last stitch on either side. Now you might be saying, why didn't you just do one section and leave this base open and just have it open there? And that is because when we stuff it, we don't want to see the stuffing through, so we need to have a double layer. So that's why we've done it this way. All right, you can go ahead and hide this tail, leave this one attached, do this to the second part that you need. So the other 2 sections that you have, go ahead and do the exact same thing too. All right, so I have my 2 pieces done. Got all these tails. I'm gonna hide these little ones. Just gonna go in there in between the layers just to get it secured out of my way. And this one, I already did that too. All right, so now what we're gonna do is determine our front. We know that this is the back with the lines going up. This is our front. The reason why we want to secure the front is because we want to leave the back open. So we're going to take this yarn tail here. You can see these are going to go like this, and I'm going to so this front piece to this front one and this front one here. I'm going to take this one first, tie this on its side here. I'm going to go attach it to the corner of my base. We're going to do the same thing on this as we did on the back of this one, where we're going to pick up, oops, get that hair out of there. We're going to pick up the stitch. So if I'm starting here, I'm going to pick up this first row here. Wide part of the V is going to the left. So I'm going to find the same one here. Here's the wide part. Here's the row where the wide part of the V is. I'm going to pick, here's my, this is where I chained close with my crochet hook. So I'm going to take the first one there. Then I'm going to go into this next one. So here's where I'm coming out. That's where I'm going to go in. I'm going to pick up that next stitch. And the next one, staying on the same row. I won't tighten this yet because hopefully you can see this a little bit better. Here's the next one. The wide part of the V is at the left, and then the next one. I'm going to go part way, and then I'm going to pull it tight, and I'm going to continue till I get to the center here, and that should take me to the end here. I have to quit talking so much because I'm having to shut the camera off and pick up way too often because I'm at the very end of a very bad cold, sinus infection, and now I've got the crazy cough that won't let me go. Let me just pull this through. There we go. Oops, just get the, gotta go a little tougher there. I'll fix that corner later. We'll have to attach that a little bit better later. But I'm gonna just continue here, picking up that first stitch. And here. I actually love doing this. It's just so relaxing to me. Oops, except for when I snag a stitch. So you're coming out at the back, like you're picking up a full row here, and then you're in between the two rows. You're gonna go back in where you came out and pick up the next two. It's just so easy to do. And you get such a beautiful look. These are metal wool needles. I'll have them in the description, linked in the description box below. I'm going to continue on till I get to the end of this row, and then I'll see you back. All right, so there we go. We have a little bit, we only see 2 of the 3 rows here when we attach it that way. But that's okay. I think it'll be fine. So we're going to take this on the next one that you do. You could make on just the very first row, do 4, and then when you're done sewing, you'll see 3 rows there, but I don't mind that at all. I'm good with it. We're going to take this next one. When we get to the corner, here's my seam right here. I'm gonna just go into that seam and into the seam on my top piece. I'm just gonna reinforce. Then I'm gonna pick up this one. I'm gonna do the same thing, go into the seam, and into this seam one more time and back in. Just to reinforce. And if this is long enough, I'm going to continue down the row, which is plenty long enough. Continue down the row, adding this piece around here as well. Okay, so do the same manner. Pick up that other side all the way to the end. When we get to the end, we're going to seam our corner and our edge here together. We're going to give it a good knot and another one because I'm going to have to change my yarn. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to hide it in between my layers. We're going to sew in here a little bit yet too, but what we're going to do is we're going to, before we move on any further, we're going to stuff our piece. Okay, so we've got this one here. Actually, I need to start on the edge there, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure this is knotted really good. And I'm going to hide that. And we're going to use it starting on the side. Grab your fiber fill, and give this a good stuff. I bought this box. I mentioned it in another video that I recently did. I buy the big box of fiber fill from Michael's, and I have bought in so many boxes. This box feels like it's wiry. It's just the worst. I don't know why. It's different. It used to be so soft and so beautiful. They must have charged the same price but got a cheaper fiber fill, which isn't good, but it still does the job, but I certainly don't like it. I wonder if any of you have noticed the difference in the big box that you buy. Let's pull this apart. We need to get a corner in there, so be careful how you stuff. And that's about good for now because we can fill it in again as we go. But now what we want to do is we want to attach a yarn to this corner here. Oops, that's not the long one. Where's the long one? I had a really long one. I'm going to take another one. We're going to attach the yarn right here. In a nice firm knot. I can tuck that up into there. That's okay. And then I'm going to bring this up. Let's turn this over first. This, I know what you're thinking of what this looks like, but hey, it's gonna be fine when it's done. Don't worry. Okay, but this is how our heart pillow is gonna take shape. This is pointing up, but we have to fix that. It's only because, you know what, I'm taking some of this stuffing out. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna stuff the top part here, and then I'm gonna work this, and I'm gonna leave an opening here so I can go in and stuff this. So we're gonna work this across, making sure. Here's what we need to make sure of. We want to have these lined up. We should actually take a piece of yarn. Let me just change my way here just for a second. We're gonna put this beside each other just like that, and we're gonna take a piece of yarn, and we have to sew in there too, but I'm gonna do that final details. But I'm just gonna tie a knot right here. That's going to be my center where I come down to here. So I'm gonna now pick up the seam here and I can tie these two. There, I'm getting my halves lined up the way they should so they don't get a point. I didn't tie tight, so I have to do that again. One and two, and you can cut those a little shorter. Tuck them in. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna sew the side here. This way we know where our stopping point is. So I'm gonna hold this like this. I'm going to find my row that I want to be at the top here. I'm gonna go in, pick up 2 bars like I normally do. Then I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna pick up 1 row. I wanna get that very base one, the very bottom row. There, so 2 bars there. Then I'm gonna go back into here where I came out, pick up 2 bars. Go up to the top here. Here's where I came out. I'm gonna pick up 2 bars. Go back down, pick up, I'm just going to pick up 1 there because that's where my color change is. But no, I can't because I have to pick up 2 up here. I'm trying to get down that 3rd row, which is really tight to my join. Pick up 2. I'm not going to worry about where I end here because there's nothing to line up here. We don't have lines like this to line up. And so don't worry about stopping at the end of a color change. Pick up 2, get in there and pick up your stitch. And pull. Make it all the way to the center here. Picking this up to make sure that you're not getting lots of slack over. You don't want to have a big piece left over here. You want to make this evenly sewn on. I'll meet you back. There we go. Once we have it sewn across, I'm just going to go into here and I'm going to sew up this little hole. All right, just getting that sewn up. And I'll pick it up here just to make sure. Give that a pull. I'm going to work this back to the inside. And now we can go ahead and stuff our pillow. Oh, I pulled that a little too tight, didn't I? There we go. We can go ahead and stuff our pillow on this side. And don't shut the video off and finish because we have fine details to do, okay? Once we get it closed, you're seeing what we're going to do for the rest of the half here, but then we have some fine detail work to do. So I'm going to get that into the center there. Stuff this as best that I can. Turn around and have a look at it before I close this back end. That's going to go down like that. I'm going to flip it over. I think I can put a little bit more in there. I want it to be a little bit fuller up into this other side. I'm just going to push it up to my heart there. A little bit more up into here. I want this to be rounder. I don't want it to be flat. See how much I got in there by doing that? But you want your bottom half to be as pillowy as the top half. Shaping the inside to get that point. You get the idea. I'm going to work it. See, now that's much better because I filled it. But I never filled it so full that it does that. You don't want to ever do that. Just get it nice and full. Do the other side, sew it up, and then meet me back. All right, once you make it across, you are going to just fix this corner so that's sewn closed. Now, of course, if you make this in a solid red or a solid pink or a solid purple or whatever color you choose, without the stripes, you don't have to worry about them not lining up, and you can whip this up in no time. But I kind of like the stripes. I'm going to pick up this piece down here, up here, and bring it down. There we go. I'm going to tie a knot. And 2. Get that into the work, under the stuffing and out. Give it a pull, then lift up on that. Cut this off. Now what we want to do, we're going to put one more piece of yarn onto our needle. And here, we're going to seam up from here to here. So I'm going to just pick a row here. Let me just see here. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to pick up 2 bars of that row. I'm going to tie this off, leaving a long enough tail that I can hide. I'll hide that later, but I'm going to go over to this side and I'm going to pick up 2 bars that are above that pink. The first two red ones above this pink stripe and this pink stripe here. Then I'm going to go back in. See where I'm at here. And pick up 2 more. And pick up 2 more. Don't tighten it quite yet because it's easier for you to see what row you're on if you don't. Pick up 2. And pick up 2. And now I'm going to pull that. And you go up as far as you think you need to go up. I can use this tail to sew in this little piece there too, but I think that's good. I'm going to take this one off and I'm going to put this one on. And I'm actually going to sew this piece here too. So this is the fine detail. You do a little bit of looking and then you assess it and you think, do I need to go in again and go a little lower or a little higher? And the answer to this one was yes. I'll see what that did. That made that perfect. It brought this row together. So now what I'm going to do is I don't want to have a knot there, so I'm going to push this in there. I'm going to bring it up. Just like that. And then when I'm done going up as far as I want to go up here, Where's this one? Then I will tie it off. So I'm going to give this one a pull. And you have to assess how high you want to go up. I think that's good enough. And I'm going to just pick this up in here a little bit. And assess your pillow. If you think it's up high enough, then you're going to go to the back and you're going to do the same thing. Determine where you left off on the front. So on the front, we went to the bottom of this pink row here. So I'm going to go around to the other side. And I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to do the same exact thing. I should have left that other tail down lower because now I'm going to end up down there anyways. But I'm going to just pick up and pick up and go all the way down to here. All right, so there we have our heart pillow, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out. I think it just is perfect. Now what I did is I took my Clover Wonder Knitter, and you can look on my channel. I will link it in the description box below how you use this. I don't want to take this tutorial to teach you how to use this. And I made a long cord. This is all the yarn I had left. So I made it as long as I had it. You can make it longer. And this is 45 inches long. That's just as long as I could get out of it. And I used the 3-pronger on my Clover Wonder Knitter. I love this thing. I have the Addi egg. This is superior. This is my favorite thing. And it has another end that you can put on there that makes a bigger cord, but anyways, I made it 45 inches long, and then I divided it in 3. So here's my 3 right here. I marked it off. I'm going to take that out. This is the beautiful thing. You just cut it, and then you pull out these little things until you get the end, and then you pull the end, and it tight. Oops, I might have to string that. That's not true. I forgot one little thing. I haven't done that in a while. Let's see here. I need to... I'm going to just pick up these loops right here. And then I can tie it off. But that's how you do it. If you want to make a really long cord, I'll show you on the next one. I'll do it again. I'm going to just tie this tight. And then I have the size that I want. Let's try it again. Oh, maybe it's this end that pulls like that. Let's see. So let's pull that out. Pull that little piece out. Pull that little piece out. Then I have this string here. You actually have to put it on your needle. So I'm going to pick up all 3 of these loops. And then I'm going to pop that into there and pull it through. And then I'm going to tie off a knot. It's not scary. I forgot how to do it because I haven't made a long one and cut it off in a long time. But there we go. Easy to do. I'm going to do it again to this side. So if it starts to unravel a bit, just stop pulling. Just stop pulling. Okay, so I'm going to take those 3 little pieces out. I'm going to pull this just so I can get one that's a little bit longer so that I can stick my needle in all 3 of the loops. This is where these metal wool needles are the best. I'm going to, I could have pulled one more row, but I don't want to. So I'm going to pull that through there. Then I'm going to put this through that loop. And there we go. I've got a knotted end. And this one is already knotted off. This one I have to work on. So I'm going to do the same thing. I just pull it out. Get those 3 little pieces off. I'll pull it one more little ways. Then I'm going to just pick up these loops. I know there's 3. I'm going to thread my little yarn needle, my needle here, pull it through, and then I'm going to take it through that loop. Oops. I have good intentions to take it through that loop, but let's do it this way. Pull it through, and then when I pull, you don't need to knot that off again because that's nice and tight. Okay, and this one's tight. Now I have 3. I'm gonna just, actually, you can take these ends and and just string them up into the tube. And pull them off. Now, if you have more red yarn and you want to do more of these little bows, you just make it longer. But I ran out. That's all the yarn I had. I'm going to hide that end. Alrighty, so now that I have those cut, ends tied off, I'm going to take a tiny little screwdriver, put them in half, tie a tiny little knot so that I can make a tiny little bow. Slip that off. Make two more. Magic of camera. Then we're going to place these. You can just place them anywhere. Let's just randomly put them somewhere. Maybe like that. Maybe closer to the center so that it kind of hides that seam there. Or up here and down here and wherever. And you can sew them on. Put some red yarn if you have any left. I'm going to take some pink and I'm just going to go take my wool needle. I'm going to go through here and attach it to my pillow wherever I want to place them. It will be a surprise because I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to figure out where I want them. Like even there. No, that's too. I don't know. I got to think about it. So there you go. I thought about it, and this is the last decision. I like them in this position. But you know what? Any place that you put them, it's going to look pretty on your pillow. So I can't wait to see the ones that you have made and the color choices, or you might want to make one in a solid color. Yeah, that would be beautiful too. Here is the back side again of the pillow, which is also very nice. I like how the lines go different on the back, on the bottom half of the heart on this side, and it's nice to have it showing that side as well. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing the pillows that you have made. I would ask that if you're posting in other Facebook groups that you share the link so that people can always find the pattern on my channel. That would be a great support to me that I would appreciate very, very much. All right, friends, thanks again for joining me. I hope you've had fun making a pillow, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Take care and have a blessed day.